Trump's lawyer destroys The View show hosts live on air. They are constantly trying to humiliate all those close to Trump, but this time they failed. Let's get to the bottom of this situation together.
Tell me a little bit about where you are in this process, because in terms of the appeals happening or the appeals court deciding, the appellate division deciding that perhaps they're going to make some modifications to this judgment.
I want to bring you up to speed a little bit. The New York Court of Appeals on Monday allowed former U.S. President Donald Trump to post a $175 million bail instead of the lower court's set amount of $454 million. The court explained that Trump must now pay $175 million within 10 days if he does not want to be charged with the original $454 million in the alleged financial fraud case. The former president's lawyers asked for the bail amount to be set at $100 million. The court is scheduled to consider the Trump team's appeal of the fraud case and decide whether to uphold the original $454 million judgment.
Right. Well, our argument in front of the appellate division is that forcing him to sell prized properties such as Trump Tower, iconic properties like 40 Wall Street, to pursue his appeal is manifest injustice, and it deprives him of that due process that we are all entitled to. So imagine you can't reverse selling off Trump Tower on a fire sale at a discounted price. We can't fix that if we win on an appeal. So it's complete injustice. And only a handful of sureties, as we stated, are approved by the United States Department of Treasury to even underwrite bonds of this size.
In this regard, there was a risk of arrest by the judicial authorities of New York of part of the property of the former president. In this case, Trump's penthouse in the Trump Tower skyscraper could be seized, as well as his plane, office building on Wall Street, or golf courses, the U.S. media noted. On 24 February, the court ruled that Trump, found guilty in the case of fraudulent valuation of Trump Organization assets, will have to pay $454 million in fines. 2 days later, his lawyers filed an appeal, and as we hear, they are actively trying to get justice in this case.
So of those, even those very limited handful amounts, they're limited to policies with even single bonds up to maybe $100 million. None of them accept hard assets. They require cash or cash equivalents, such as marketable securities. The ask of Judge Engoron is completely ridiculous. He knew that, or if he didn't know that, then he should have educated himself on it. But it is intentionally to interfere in the election, to hurt President Trump, to try and ruin his company and ruin a person and a family whose private company, not public company, has made the skyline of New York changed forever and made so many jobs, created jobs, taxes to New York. It's a disgrace, Martha. So we're waiting on those reasons that we've stated in our appeal and many more. But that's just a summary of what we're waiting on the appellate division to do.
This whole case seems very strange to me because they started the lawsuits when Trump was gaining popularity and put himself up for the presidency. That's when all the judges stepped up and started their biggest corrupt case against Trump. I have no doubt that everything was bought and made to prevent him from becoming president again.
Alina, do you have any sense of whether or not the appellate division is sympathetic to this argument and what their time frame might be to respond to it? Because 5 days is not that much time.
No, it's not that much time, and we pressed the fact that this is urgent. And I will say the appellate division has been great in looking at these things in a timely manner. There were days where we've taken things to the appellate division and waited to be heard, and they heard us. They definitely, we can tell, have listened to our arguments fairly. You know, don't forget, this case, the judge had a trial where he disregarded the appellate division that shortened the statute of limitations here and said that this case was limited and that he just disregarded it. So that in itself should, you know, to me, just put his nose, this judge put his nose up to the appellate division, disregarded the rule of law, disregarded the higher court. And in that alone, you know, they should take that into account, let alone the other injustices that we saw for those 11 weeks in trial.
In addition to punitive damages, Trump and his sons were banned from working for any New York company for 3 years. However, the appeals court has put this decision on pause for the time being. Trump himself called the lawsuit a witch hunt. the purpose of which, in his opinion, is to create obstacles to his election as president of the country. Attorney Letitia James, a member of the Democratic Party, sued Trump in 2022, accusing him of falsifying his net worth and financial statements to obtain tax and insurance benefits. All cases are now being vigorously litigated, and I think the appeal will be accepted. What are your thoughts on this? Write your opinion in the comments, and don't forget to watch other shocking news on the channel.